for now, I'm just going to be diving into, this was actually like a question from Cynthia. Um, and it was more so just kind of like, I'd asked a question in the group, like before the new year, just, like, what is something that you held on to in 2021 and you don't want to carry over into 2022 type of thing. And pretty much she was just, lacking clarity on like a marketing strategy and just kind of like how to like create content, repurpose content, that type of thing. And as different as it sounds, it actually really goes hand in hand. And I wanted to bring it up in this setting just because I feel like it has like everything to do with what we're doing here in the automated coaching engine, and just like the overall goal, the mission of the big picture of what we're trying to accomplish in the partnership, like the longevity of the partnership. So you guys have probably heard me talk about overall, like the starting point is kind of like one product to one avatar, like one service or one product to one specific niche, avatar or niche. And this is like kind of like the forefront of like like not having like shiny ball syndrome. Like this is something like I experienced when I first got into like building business online, like running a Facebook ads agency and building websites and doing PR, Instagram growth. Like all of this was inside of the agency, but at the end of the day, like the focus was in all different angles, like there were so many different things that we were trying to accomplish. And I think that was one of the biggest things that like small business owners that don't really have like the capability to scale is something that they get like deterred from, just overall like shiny ball syndrome, just thinking they can help everyone type of thing. And in reality, we likely can help everyone. That's the biggest challenge. But the problem with that is it's really hard to get clear on like who we want to help. And because of that, like it brings us into this situation where, we're constantly like dealing with, like quote unquote, like headache type clients that don't really like resonate with our mission. Like we can help them, but do they want to be helped is like the thing. So I really like to always bring it back to one product, one avatar. And that's really what we're ultimately accomplishing here in the automated coaching engine. Just getting really, really crystal clear as far as like the deliverables of the product or the service that you offer, or the transformation that you offer. Now, this is something that I like to tie to, like $100,000 per year type of thing. Like just using, like organic outreach with one product, one avatar should without a doubt get you to $100,000 a year, no questions asked. So I'm just going to make a note. We'll just put organic outreach here. And what we can do from here is we can scale this to $1 million a year coaching business by utilizing, systems and that's an O, content. And this is really like just kind of like overall just like to expand your reach, like the systems type of thing is like exactly what we're doing, removing you from like the organic outreach type of thing to where your time can go in other angles. It doesn't need to be worried about like quote unquote like lead generation. It's more so like allowing you to become an entertainer, allowing you to become passionate about like what you're doing, about the service that you provide, the transformation that you provide, allowing you to quote unquote like create a movement. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen as far as like the coaching businesses that we've worked with that have scaled really, really fast and really effectively. They've all been kind of like tied to like a movement, like for example, like Brody Kern with Wake Up Wealthy, like that's a huge like men's movement. Like pretty much like if you're a younger male and you're in like entrepreneurship, you know about Wake Up Wealthy, like it's just like everybody that you connect with, somebody is like a part of it. And same type of thing with like one of our other clients, Omar, who he has like a group called Empoweredpreneur. It's like it's creating like a movement with these types of coaching programs where it's more than just like a course and a coach. It's more than just like a life coaching program. It's for a specific type of person, and because of that, it creates a tribe. And you can think about like even like any of the biggest coaches out there, like Garrett White with um, Wake Up Warrior, I think it is. That's another thing. He targets like older men, and his company is huge. Ryan Blair, another huge one that we worked with, and he actually sold his like previous company for like $800 million. But that's because of like how much of a tribe that he created with that brand, with that company. So the biggest thing that I think that we can capitalize on together here as a group, like this is pretty much like a you are here type of thing, where we have the systems in place, like where we have developed or we are developing the systems depending on where you're at in the program. And we're putting lead generation specialists in place to get you leads, so you don't really have to worry about that. But at the same time, like your job at this point is more so coming into like the content type of place, where like you're getting on podcasts as a guest. You're getting passionate about your story, you're telling people about your story. And another way that I like to kind of like reframe this or reference this is like becoming an entertainer. If you think about the wealthiest people in the world, most of them are entertainers. They're not the CEOs of McDonald's and like these other like huge companies that you would think that they are. It's like people like Jay-Z and like Conor McGregor and like these people that are entertainers. And so the biggest thing that I can attach that to is that people want to be entertained. So when it comes to like what you're doing with your transformations, with the coaching that you provide, you can entertain based on the information that is involved inside of what you do. And I think that's one of the biggest things on my end, that I think is important here, is more so like just shifting that focus. Like, what is the purpose of creating this content? It's simply to entertain, so realize not everybody needs to be like on TikTok, like doing dance moves and shit like that, but you can be on podcasts, and you can be a guest on podcasts talking about what you do, being passionate about what you do, planting your flag about what you do. And then you can hire somebody on Fiverr, get that content clipped up into dozens of pieces of content where you'll have stuff to post, for whenever you need. And that's exactly what me and Mike do. We have our own podcast, the Coach's Corner podcast, which we would love to have any of you guys on as guests if you would like. And we aim to record twice a week, Mondays with a guest, or on Thursdays, just with me and Mike. And typically like the ones with the guest, it's about an hour long, a little bit more conversational, like kind of like Joe Rogan style, a little bit more background. So it brings up a lot of points, that a lot of like nuggets, I like to say, where we can then send to our content editor. He can chop it up, he can create it into dozens of pieces of content that we can post whenever we need. And it's been really beneficial through this time of the year with the holidays and stuff, because we haven't been recording the podcast, because both of us have been traveling, and we still have been able to post like nearly every single day, just based off of the past like content that we have. So this is kind of like like I'd mentioned, like kind of like where you guys are at, as far as like this type of like the automated coaching engine. It's like we're in one product, one avatar. We should be able to do $100,000 a year, no questions asked, with organic outreach. But really like 10xing that, while with like mastering like the point of like planting your flag, getting yourself out there and just being passionate about what you do. And so going on from here, this is kind of like the next step, that we're looking to accomplish. It's more so like incorporating, can't spell, incorpore. I hope that's right. You guys get the point. Incorporating ads. So this is on top of organic outreach, the stuff that we're doing. It's the next layer, and this is exactly like what me and Mike have done. Like we started out Brandberry here at this stage, scaled just using organic outreach ourselves. We were doing the dirty work ourselves. We started seeing the potential of virtual assistants, started hiring them on to do our lead generation for us, and then we blasted into this space where it was more so like, okay, cool, now that we have all this type of stuff running, what can we do more? How can we still like be effective with our time? Now we're in this space where it's like incorporating ads. And the reason that I bring this up is because you guys are more than likely in the same position that me and Mike were, where it's like, I want to get this off the ground with as little of my money as possible. You know, I don't want to be like blowing money on ads and, you know, doing all this dumb shit. Like, I need to create a faucet of leads that I don't need to spend $1 on, you know, to get these people in the door. I can just get my reps in with them. I can take calls. I can let them fail if they need to, you know, like, I just need to be able to like get people through the door, you know, deliver my coaching, you know, get the transformations and, you know, just build my shit that way. And that was like exactly where we were. We were broke. We didn't have anything. So there was no even thought of running ads or anything like that. But now, like, getting to a point where, you know, there's like, you know, income that can be dispersed, you know, without like worrying about it type of thing. You know, that's when you can start diving into ads, spending $5,000 a month in ads and things like that. And if you don't get a return, what the hell, you know, whatever, you know, like you know, we have the organic outreach running. So that's kind of like the next step. And this right here, incorporating ads on top of the organic outreach, the content type of stuff, is going to get you into, you know, that 10 million a year type of space. So this is like, you know, kind of like the next step from automated coaching engine, which is like something that we, you know, we obviously want to accomplish inside of the partnership here. Um, and this is, you know, prime example is like Brody Kern with Wake Up Wealthy. This is exactly what they're doing. Same thing that we you know, did alongside of them with our own company is what we did with them as well. You know, just really built the foundation of the organic outreach, and now they have, you know, like disposable income for, you know, testing ads and things like that. And you know, just the next kind of layer of this is incorporating like in additional services, additional products or services that you can like deliver back into the existing clients. So you have all of this stuff up here at the top that is doing like kind of like your lead generation to doing new to getting new clients, but services to existing clients is going to get up into the 100 million a year, which is exactly the Ryan Blair situation with his previous company that he was able to sell for $100 million. And you know, he's just like basic like meditation type of coach, you know, same as any other coach in the world. Had like, you know, his prison time and all that type of thing happened to him in his life. Comes out, completely changes his life, sells his company for 800 million. You know, so it's just all about like this kind of like compounding situation, where, you know, we start with an avenue of one product, one avatar. With organic outreach, we use that to incorporate ads, you know, to create disposable income to where we can spend money on the ads, and then we start creating new services, new you know, types of products that we can redistribute to the existing clients. So that's kind of like the first point of like what I wanted to talk about today. This is overall like what I would say is like a simplified version of like the overall marketing strategy that we're really trying to accomplish here with the automated coaching engine and the big picture. Um, and so going onward with that, you might have a question about content specifically. This is something that we will probably often like talk about in general, just because really like for you guys on the end that you're at with lead generation launch, there's really not too much else to do on your end other than, you know, taking sales calls and, you know, delivering the coaching. So the other thing that really like you guys really want to focus on is the content side, and we've talked about this a few times. There's video modules about it inside of the course, and we also did like a previous live training on it, talking about how to repurpose content. But I just want to briefly cover that again. And the easiest way to create content in my eyes, because like, don't get me, like, I'm not a person that like you will ever see, you know, like sitting up somewhere with like a production set and like trying to like purposely like make content that way. You know, I'm very much like, all right, I think about an idea, I need to just record this in front of my face on my phone and like just get it out of the way. You know, I don't like, I'm me personally, I don't think I'm that good at like creating content. It's not something that I really enjoy, but I've forced myself into it. And the easiest way for me to leverage it and create it is podcast. And the reason that I like podcasts is because of what I was talking about earlier. It's something where we can get on, like we just have like basic microphones and cameras. I think the setup was like less than $50 for both Mike and I. And all we do is, have a conversation with the guest on Mondays. Those are honestly my favorite because that's where we can learn about different coaches in the space and, figure out more about their stories. There's a lot of like relating things that we've noticed, like most people have like similar experiences, and so like there's a lot of talking points from that. So those are by far like my favorite. But the other one is being, a guest on other people's podcasts, on others podcasts, because um this will allow you to stay away from the whole like production side of your own podcast. But at the same time, like there's tons of people that have podcasts that are looking for guests to be on, and overall just more topics to have on their show. So if you can come across other people that are in your space, highly recommend like just message them like, hey, I listened to your podcast, I'd love to be a guest, I think like our stories aligned, et cetera type of thing. But what this will do is you can let that person know like, hey, I want a copy of the recording when we finish this up, because like I want to create my own content from this and use it on my end as well. They're definitely going to be down because it's also going to promote their podcast as well. So between these two points, this is by far the easiest way in my eyes to create content. And it's the only way that I really create content. Sometimes I'll record videos like when I'm out on walks and stuff, but in my eyes, it's not like there's better uses of my time than like, blocking off 2 hours to create content. Um, so the podcasts have been really beneficial. And then how we kind of like disperse that into an omni-channel presence. So pretty much just repurposing that content. We have like YouTube, where we can just post the entire podcast. We don't really need to edit it at all. We can just post the entire recording, and people can access it there. They can watch it there. But also YouTube has shorts. So this is where the, like kind of like the content creator comes into play, or the content editor, I should say. And you can literally find somebody on Fiverr, Fiverr, I think it's .com. You can find somebody on Fiverr, for, I would say probably like $20 that will edit an entire podcast. They will give you like 10 clips out of it that you can post on, you can post the full thing on YouTube, but then you can post the shorts on YouTube Shorts, which is Instagram's version, or YouTube's version of like Instagram Reels, or, like their TikTok kind of like play. But then you can take this content from the editor and you can post this on, TikTok. You can post it on Instagram and Facebook. Just the clips alone, you can go ahead and you can use all 10 of them for 10 days of content on all three of those platforms. And then also what I do is I add in Twitter, where I create a thread of the speaking topic, whatever the topic was of this content up here. So, if it's a topic about just kind of like mindset, I'll just type up a little thread that is basically exactly what I said in the content that was already created. I'm just transitioning that into words. And then I'll use that to post on LinkedIn as well. I'll post that little like story or paragraph, whatever it transitions to. I'll post that on LinkedIn as well. So just off of like one podcast alone, whether it's one that we create ourselves or one that we're guests on, I have YouTube content, TikTok content, Instagram content, Facebook content, Twitter content, and LinkedIn content. So that, in my eyes, is by far the best way to repurpose content for yourself. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover from here. The biggest thing I think is overall just having like the vision of like what the marketing strategy is, and like kind of like your role here as of now. And then just overall like the easiest way to create content. I can almost promise like most of you in here, like you hear me say that and you're like, oh, that's like the one thing I hate. But it's just like part of like business in general. It's just part of like planting your flag. And for me, in my eyes, it's much easier to create content on something that I'm passionate about speaking about, and in a conversational basis. So that's why I prefer the podcast as well. And if Mike was here, he would say probably the exact same thing. But cool, that was pretty much what I wanted to chat about here this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you're at. If you have any questions about that topic or any other topic, feel free to open up and we will run it from there.
I have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
It's more than fine,
Good. So Mike, will you be able to like maybe share something with all the resources that you mentioned, like the name of your podcast that you do with Mike, and what was the other source that I'm also interested in sort of creating that, content that can be reused. And I think you said something on Viber. Is that how you get the resource to have someone edit a video that already exists?
Yeah. So I'll share the specific link to the website. It's Fiverr, FIVERR.com. And then me and Mike's podcast, I'll share that in the channel as well. I'll share the YouTube page as well as like kind of like the Spotify, Apple Music version as well.
That's awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Is that it though? Just specifically the links?
I think those were the two things that left me wanting more so that I can look into it. I am interested in perhaps, guesting on your podcast. I'm not quite there yet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What makes you think that you're not there yet?
I like to get familiarized, that's a hard word to say, with the thing that I'm interested being a part of, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So I can
Yeah.
get like a comfort level, like I know it, not that I would know exactly what it is unless I do it, of course, but just sort of like have a bit of a prep, just to feel confident and comfortable.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I was just making sure that it wasn't something like, you didn't think you were qualified to be on the podcast or something like that. I'm like,
No,
hell
I
no,
do not feel
everybody
that.
is qualified. No.
Yeah. Thankfully, that isn't what's stopping me. No.
All right, perfect. But yeah, no, I'll share the links here in the channel as soon as we end this, if that's okay with you, for both of them, the podcast and Fiverr. And you'll be able to see kind of like how we use the podcast on the front end for YouTube. And then also I'll share like my Instagram URL, Mike's Instagram URL as well, if you don't have it. So that way you can see kind of like how we repurpose it onto the individual channels. But yeah, it's overall been really, really good on our end. Like I said, Mike is here. I didn't realize that, but I'm sure he would agree. That's pretty much like how all of his content comes into play as well, is whether it's through our own podcast or being a guest on others. It's by far, like in my eyes, the easiest to just get content created. But cool. Yeah, no, I'll share that. No problem. Anything
Awesome.
else?
Thank you.
No problem. Anything else from anybody else?
Quick question.
Yes, sir. What's up, Joe? How you doing? Sounds like you're like a dog with your head sticking out.
Hold on one sec. Can you hear me now? Hold on one sec. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Oh yeah, we got you now.
Okay, cool. Hold on. Let me just get all right, all good? You got me?
Yes, sir. We got you.
Sweet. Cool, man. So yeah, I have a quick question. This is just something that's kind of come up, and would love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. It's not specifically related to like some of the coaching that we're doing on the transformational side, but like long story short, dude, I have a lot of people who either are local here to Austin and like I'm somewhat friends with, or like just people that I'm connected with on social media, that like reach out and they're like, hey, like, I know you do this speaking thing. I know you book people speaking gigs. Like, I'm super interested in that. I feel like it's my passion to go speak, like, blah, blah, blah. And like, they're like, can I pick your brain on it for a little bit? Or like, do you have a coaching program around this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, like I have no desire to build a coaching program around that. Like, I just want to run the agency and build it and like prove that out. However, I'd love to hear your thoughts on like offering like 15 to 30 minute to 60-minute, like just one-off consultation calls. I know just in talking to some of my friends in business, like one of my buddies last night paid some dude like $1,000 a couple months ago, this super successful dude in the coaching space, like to just have an hour-long consultation call. My buddy recorded the call. This dude provided a bunch of value, like all that stuff. I think that would be like my best play to continue, like to provide value on this, but at like the lowest time point for me, but where I'm not wasting my time or energy. I'm providing value and can still make a financial return on it. Would love to hear you or Mike's thoughts on like offering those. Again, like it would more be out of like, look, like I don't usually do this and I don't really have a massive desire to do this. Like I'm focused on my own stuff. However, if you really want to learn more about this, you can throw me a couple $100. I'll give you the 30, 60 minutes of my time and I'll provide you with a shit ton of value of everything I know on like how to get started in the speaking space. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no. I know Mike's driving, so I'm not sure if he's able to speak, but I'll speak on it first, and then Mike, if you're able to, you can chime in. But yeah, no. Number one, like I would definitely not like the remark like pick your brain, like that just like makes me like sick to my stomach, when somebody like says that to me. I'm like, oh, like I don't even have time to like do the shit I need to do. Like, no, please no. So yeah, I definitely like that you're thinking about like what can I do like monetarily here. So in this case, like what I would do is I would probably run it like the exact same way that guy that you're referring to like talked about it. Just like we like create a calendar link that has like a Stripe checkout like attached to it, where they have to pay before they can book. And I would just do something that's like definitely very like generous to your time. So like for example, like I used to have a like a coffee talk link on my Instagram, because like people would hit me up about this all the time, like, oh, I just want to chat with you, I want to know what you do, and like I knew that there was nothing like business related coming at it, but I also didn't want to be an asshole and like blow these people off. So but it got to a point to where like it was like kind of driving me nuts, just a lot of connection calls, like what is a connection call, and so what I did is I just attached $100 like checkout to it. And, it basically just said, it was like a 15-minute call. It was like, like it's $100, like I'm literally just doing this because I want to make sure that you're serious, I'll refund it, if like this was like a mutual benefit, if the conversation was a mutual benefit. But if you waste my time, like I'm keeping the $100 type of thing, And so like, kind of like the same type of thing in my eyes for you, but almost the reverse, where it's like, hey, this isn't something that I usually do. I will do this for, $500 for an hour, whatever the situation is on your end that you want to charge for it. And if you don't think it's valuable, like no problem, just let me know, like I'll refund you the money, just so like you don't have like too much like attachment to it. Another thing is like I know like the coaching agency, I mean the speaking agency is like something that's just it's running like very well for you, and it's like you said, it's not really attached to the transformational coaching. But to that point, I would say like don't allow this to like take you away from what you're really trying to accomplish. But at the same time, like if you feel that it is like something that's worth it for you, then by all means, like that would be the way that I would handle it without like creating a course and all that type of stuff,
Totally.
But
yeah,
Mike, if you
man,
have something there too. My bad, Joe. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say, and I'd love to hear Mike A's thoughts as well, as if he's available. Obviously, if he's driving, I don't want him to hop in. But yeah, man, I mean, that was my thoughts exactly. Like, dude, truthfully, like if we get the agency to the point where it's cranking and it's doing 50 to 100K or whatever, like, and we're tapped out in it, it's like, it's crushing. And like, I feel the call. Like I've talked to Mike A about this, of potentially like starting like an automated speaking engine, like similar to what you guys are running here. I think that would be cool. Dude, at this point in my career, in my life, I have absolutely zero desire to do any of that. So to your point, dude, like I know there's a need for it. I know there's a market for it. It just kind of gets a little frustrating when people are like, especially especially when it's something like it's the first thing I started in entrepreneurship. Like I side hustled for a while. Like now I'm starting to see success and it feels like, oh, now people want to know about me and know what I do. So like, that's a personal thing there, but it's like, yeah, man, it's like, listen, like, yeah, I'll provide you value. It's really not something I want to do, but if you really feel this is, people say it's my calling, it's my purpose to go speak. It's like, dude, if you really feel that way, put your money where your mouth is, right? So it's like, I'll give you 30 to 60 minutes. I'll provide you with an absolute crap ton of value. Everything I know, everything I've learned, like guaranteed if you follow this and you put in the work, you can get to where you want to go. But in order for me to do that, like, give me some money and like put some skin in the game. So yeah, man, I really appreciate, I appreciate your insight there and kind of backing and like solidifying. I even reached out to Brody and some people in the Wake Up Wealthy community and some of my other like trusted advisors in the space to just kind of see their thoughts. Cause this isn't something I've like experienced before, but definitely something, definitely something I know there's an opportunity for.
Yeah, for sure. And like, to be honest, like I would prep yourself to like really get comfortable with the, like, I already know you're confident in like how you present yourself, you know? So, but like one of the biggest things that I know me and Mike experience with this is like with, you know, like I talked about at the beginning of this call, I'm not sure if you were in here yet, but I kind of talked about like, you know, when we first started like our agency, same type of thing. Like we had like tons of services, you know, like we could quote unquote help everybody, you know, and like that like really hindered us, you know. And like I posted on my Instagram a couple of days ago just kind of like a passage from the Daily Stoic, and I think you might have seen it or liked it or something, but it like was going into the word no, you know. And like I honestly think that was the biggest thing the biggest skill I obtained in 2021 was to say no, you know. And really it was like 2020 that I really like started doing this. But literally in our business, I saw this happen. We grew the shit to where we were like, hell yeah, like the business is doing great. And we lost 20% of the monthly recurring revenue in 1 month. Like I like literally shit my pants. And I just reevaluated my time. And this is exactly what was happening. Just calls and just all this bullshit all over the place. And here we are now, like insanely dialed in on what we want to do, who we want to help, what we're passionate about. And you know, the time isn't as scarce, you know, we're able to like do what we need to do and not like, you know, go insane. So that's just kind of my thoughts on it too, is like be prepared for that to be a cutoff, you know, just like, because like I know you're passionate and other things. But Mike, I saw you on mute, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'll tap in it too if you guys can hear me okay. Hope you guys are all having a good day here and enjoyed the training. But I just wanted to tap in with that topic, Joe. Like what I would say is to Mike's point, like you definitely want to have that like core focus and not get pulled off of the mission. So
Totally.
and as a means of doing that, but still monetizing, what I would say is for the time being, like just like Mike said, charge for those calls and like take them. But also like take a note of what the questions you're being asked and then productize it into a course, you know? And like, and if
record the calls as well, Mike, right?
Record the calls, have that as like added material in the course, and like then just systemize the main questions, because I'm sure it's the same fucking questions that I asked you on the call that I had with you, you know.
Well, and it's a similar consultation to that, right? And it's like, dude, obviously if you reach out, one of the brothers reach out, I'm gonna hop on. But like, dude, when this random guy, like what got me today is like some random dude that I talked to maybe once, like fucking, he just hits me up and is like, can I pick your brain? It's like, dude, like, yeah, I'm going to give you 15 minutes for free. Like, I barely fucking know. I don't know. It gets a little annoying, right? But then I was like, wait a minute. No. There's an opportunity here for a dude like this where I don't feel necessarily obligated to just hop on to be like, yeah, man. And I know he's got money. Like, look, dude, if you really feel like it's your calling, like, I'll give you everything I know in 30 to 60 minutes. Like, just throw me some cash.
Yeah, and to that point, right? Like whatever that price tag is for that hour-long call, let's say just for like ease of numbers, you say it's like, you know, $250, just like as a random number that pops out of my head is like, you know, pay me $250 for, you know, whatever, 45 minutes of my time. I'll give you all the information you need to know. And then after you run 3 or 4 of those sessions and you realize, oh shit, it's the same questions every time, you productize that into a course that you sell them for $197. It takes zero amount of your time moving forward, and you're making $50 less. But it takes zero or I mean $0 of your time, 0 minutes of your time, So
Yeah,
like,
it's passive at that
um,
point.
exactly. And at
Yeah.
that point, it's like someone hits you up and they're like, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" It's like, "Yeah, buy this course, and if you have any more questions, I'll throw you a session for X amount of dollars." But like,
Totally.
I think that's the route you definitely want to go for. That is like, it's not your main push, it's not your main sell, but it might take you like 10 hours to create that course, but it can become something that you're monetizing without your time, instead of you having to hop on those calls.
Totally, dude. And like, dude, as another point to what the mission is here with the transformational stuff, it's like, dude, on these calls, like them being like, they'll probably be like, cool, like what's the next steps? It's like, look, man, I don't do any coaching around this, but I do some transformational stuff. And like, dude, what I found with a lot of individuals when it comes to speaking is like, it's sort of similar to the Wake Up Wealthy offer. It's like, dude, I can give you all the knowledge, but if you don't believe that your message is worth it, if there's roadblocks that are keeping you back from executing on this, we could have 10 calls where I give you all the tactical advice and you're not going to get anything done, right? So it's like there is, I think, also a potential upsell opportunity to some of the NLP and the transformational work that we're doing with these, that I'm doing on this side, to offer that on the back end of those calls too. So yeah, man, this is great. I really appreciate you guys just kind of like solidifying this. And yeah, it's just yeah, I appreciate it.
Nope.
Anytime, bro.
Sounds good. Yeah, and like to that point, like I know there's a lot more like monetary value and like purpose driven value coming from like what you're doing on your transformational side of the business.
Yeah.
So like that's definitely like what I would focus on. But yeah, cool. Glad we could help there.
Yeah. Thanks, Bush.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any other questions, Joe, or anybody else? Nothing.
Mike, yeah, it's Abby.
Yeah, sounds good. How you
Hey,
doing,
so
Abby?
good. So far, it seems like the people that the outreach is targeting are not in particularly good shape financially. So I'm just wondering if we can start targeting a different group.
Yeah, for sure. I'll make a note to look at that
Okay,
with
thanks.
Mike, and we'll brainstorm on that. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because my client is going to be, they're going to be educated, they're going to have good jobs. They're looking to live the most kind of expansive life possible, so they want to be at their absolute best, in career, in personal relationships, etc. It's not going to be
like
the guy, the guy who's slamming beers, no offense to anybody listening, but he's not that guy, that's like, not even, doesn't even know what personal growth is. Okay.
Yeah, no, for
Okay.
sure. For sure. Yeah, no, the kind of like what comes to mind is like the person that's already doing good but wants to do freaking great, like wants to be the
Exactly.
best.
Yeah. They want to
Yeah.
keep leveling up, the up level in all areas of life, and like challenging themselves essentially. Like, okay, how can I be better? And, like I've learned to meditate. I've done retreats. I've done whatever, that guy that's like really looking to, shed any limiting beliefs and anything that no longer fits, that isn't him to begin with, so that he can be authentic. He can be genuine. He can, love and, profoundly his spouse, his partner, his children, etc.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, no, I just took some notes here, but I'm going to look at your client avatar again too.
Okay.
And just look at that as far as like what I'm thinking that should portray. But cool. I'll shoot you a message if I have any questions, but we'll definitely jam on this internally.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Anything else? That good?
I'm good. I had a call with Aaron. We got everything like kind of reintegrated this morning. There was an issue with my calendar, and everything's good now.
Beautiful. Love it. Sounds good. I'll make a note to follow up with him too. Make sure everything's good on that side. And we'll keep it rocking. Cool. Any other questions about anything from anybody else? Sounds good then, I hope. Well, if anything else pops up, I'll drop the recording for this inside of the chat once it processes on my end. Got some notes here for Christy, I believe it was, and Abby here, and we should be good. Y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll catch up tomorrow.
Thanks, Mike.